Well, today on Eagle Eyes on Tech, the rule that lets you cancel subscriptions easily, aka click to cancel, is in danger. Grok did a very good impersonation of Tay AI and decided to go full Nazi. Samsung showed off more price increases that were attached to phones. And did you know that you can get your Switch 2 bricked for buying used games? All that and more coming up today on Eagle Eyes on Tech. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or swim. Go to this Eagle Eyes on Tech. I am Eagle Falcon. I'm not gonna lie, there actually isn't a whole lot to talk about this week. I know, every week, oh, we have a lot to talk about. Oh, we have a lot to talk about. There honestly isn't that much this week. You're gonna find out this episode is very, very digestible. This might actually inadvertently be an experiment. Maybe shorter episodes covering fewer bigger topics is the way to go. But it's mostly because the topic of frickin' Jeffrey Epstein and the case of the missing list has sucked all the oxygen out of every single newsroom there is, tech related or otherwise, and now it has leaked over into the tech space because all of a sudden, all right, let's get a little bit of background. All right, in case you lived under a rock, I want to know, what is the rent there? Now more than ever, knowing a good place to unplug from everything and not deal with the world is important. Okay, I'm not going to shame you for not knowing this. I'm going to be super jealous about it though. Anyway, I digress. If you somehow don't know what this is, Jeffrey Epstein was arrested and jailed for the trafficking of minors. All sorts of word came out that there is a massive client list in regards to very, very horrendous things that I actually can't say on a lot of the platforms we broadcast to. And what ended up happening was, well, they found Jeffrey Epstein passed away in his cell. But one of the things I kept talking about was this client list. This client list that were recipients of all sorts of very terrible things. Not as punishments, I might add. But anyway, we're getting too much into details. All right. The current administration, one of the things they said on the campaign trail was that they were going to go ahead and reveal everything involving this case, because there are all kinds of crazy conspiracy theories regarding this case, which of course there was. We got crazy conspiracy theories about how radar towers control the weather, and about how the earth is flat, and about how I don't actually have legs. There's crazy conspiracy theories everywhere for everything stupid, no matter how much I stand up out of this chair to show that I do in fact have legs. But those crazy conspiracy theories are out there, man. So, in any case, FBI comes out saying they're going to reveal the list. They're going to reveal the list. They said there was no list. Suddenly then, this became a bipartisan issue that both the left and right side of the aisle could come together and, as one unified voice, mash the X button for doubt. Almost nobody in the general public believes this. And more action being taken by the current administration that I'm not going to say they're actively trying to go ahead and obfuscate and change the subject, but man, it really looks like they're trying to change the subject. It's just the look that it has. They have then also gone out and revealed the raw prison footage video, because one of the things is that one of the conspiracy theories is that Epstein didn't in fact off himself, that it was in fact a murder. So they showed the entire footage, the entire video. There's 1 minute missing from the video. People are saying that's when the act was done. I have my doubts. It's just so much of that has to go right for that thing. So they go ahead and people say, well, the video's been edited. And people are like, all right, we're going to go release the raw video. Well, the raw video still has this minute missing. And then on top of that, people have checked the metadata of the video, and saw a mark saying that it was exported through Adobe. The raw file from the DOJ has metadata on it that says that the alleged raw film, the raw thing, touched an Adobe product of some kind. Now, I don't want to go pointing fingers because there's still a lot more information that needs to come out, and this really could go either way. It could be they just wanted to go ahead and trim down like a week-long video file to just what was needed, so everyone's not downloading a 17 terabyte video file. Maybe that's how it got on there. That's one theory I have on it. Maybe there is some additional tweaking on there. Maybe it is something malicious. I mean, who knows, right? There's a lot of different explanations for this. But to get back to the actual topic for why this is actually in this podcast, why are we talking about Jeffrey Epstein on a tech podcast? It is because it sucked all the air out of the room. That's pretty much it. I don't know who to believe. I don't. There's a whole lot of marks that say that there is definitely something to hide by the current administration. There's a lot of very simple explanations for a lot of the reasons why things are being done by the current administration, as weird as they are, that do make sense. And there is, in my opinion, no clear-cut answer. And so my position on this whole fiasco is that I need to order more popcorn, because we're going to need more details, and they are going to need to be eaten with popcorn. That's the only way I see this. That's all I see out of this. So for now, we are once again back, and we'll have to wait and see how things go. In other actual news, the click to cancel rule has been blocked. This is actually kind of a big problem. This was actually blocked by the 8th Circuit in the Court of Appeals. That's why I was stalling to go ahead and figure out which one it was. This was originally a rule that was put into effect by the FTC. Click to cancel means that all businesses that offer any kind of subscription, they have to offer the ability to cancel subscription that is as easy as enabling the subscription. Some TeamViewer companies that I know of actually do go ahead and employ some very shady TeamViewer tactics. Like one company that shall TeamViewer remain nameless will go ahead, make it very easy to input all the information. But if you want to cancel it, there is no option to cancel. You have to contact their office directly during office hours, which, by the way, they work in the EU. So if you don't actually work in the EU, so if you're not in EU time zones, you're just kind of SOL. And then you have to get in touch with someone, tell them you want to cancel, and have to deal with an actual person, work on their hours to then cancel your subscription. That's insane. Considering that no salesperson is required at all, it is a purely automatic, autonomous, no salesperson required at all to set up an account. To have to call them during hours and go through an interview process to cancel a subscription is insane. Like I said, I'm keeping the company TeamViewer nameless here. I'm not giving any TeamViewer clues at all, but that is how scummy TeamViewer, this company is. It's TeamViewer if you somehow weren't able to pick up on these subtle clues of my one example. No, I had no reason to hide what it was. I'm just weird like that. And in the end, the only reason I was able to even cancel the subscription with this company, which shall remain TeamViewer nameless, was I had to shut down the entire card they used. TeamViewer, not Teen Viewer. Holy smokes. I don't know if there is a site called TeamViewer, but I have no hopes in any service called that. Holy smokes. TEAM. Holy smokes. Maybe TeamViewer is the service that was in the Epstein files. That's awful. That's awful. So yeah, this is currently held up in court. This is mostly because, quote, the FTC made a procedural error by failing to come up with a preliminary regulatory analysis, which are required for rules whose annual impact on the U.S. economy is more than $100 million, which that's just sloppy. It's a little disappointing that something as, I would argue this is important. This actually is very important, especially in a day and age where people are trying to go ahead and save as much money as possible. Like, this whole thing is insane. We're having a problem in our Discord where, like, someone posts some stuff in the EOT topics channel, and then they just vanish, so it just leaves an indication that there's new news there with no actual new news, and no one's sure what the heck it is. One person said it's the full content of the Epstein files getting posted to EOT, but Discord is removing it every time. I doubt that is what's going on, but it got a chuckle out of me regardless. TikTok is getting ready to make a brand new version of itself. This is mostly due to the fact that TikTok expects that it's going to need to get itself ready for a US sale. They're looking at the tea leaves and going, yeah, there's no escaping this. We just got to accept it. We're going to have to sell ourselves to a US company. What we've been saying. So, I mean, thank you for coming to this realization. And when push comes to shove, I mean, we'll see how things go. We see that there are steps being taken right now, that TikTok is trying to build a new version of itself that is ready to be sold. This is also most likely because, let's be honest, they want to make sure that all of the hidden stuff in the background of all the sketchy stuff we gotten glimpses of that we know exist within the actual Chinese-owned TikTok app are kind of taken out. Yeah, that just is what it is. Meanwhile, AI is a flawless piece of technology that should always be used for everything, always, forever. If I ever say those things seriously, there is a good chance I was replaced with AI. Because, by God, the current iteration of AI, I don't want to stress that, the current large language model based AI keeps proving that it is nowhere near as good as every single CEO in tech wants you to believe it is. Because what have we kept hearing again and again and again about large language models? They cannot be tricked into saying all kinds of terrible things. There was actually a specific rule that I already forgot what it was called, but it said that large language models cannot break the rule. And that rule is becoming radicalized and spreading the most heinous of propaganda out there. This has always been a concern thanks to one AI long ago known as Tay AI. Tay AI, if you are someone who is relatively young and doesn't remember Tay AI, was a chatbot put out by Microsoft that some users from the website 4chan went and started training the chatbot to support Hitler. Yeah, they just tricked Tay AI to just start spouting to everything, the most heinous, deplorable stuff out there, trying to demean women's rights, trying to support, all kinds of Hitler-esque sort of. You get the idea, okay? Without me trying to tiptoe around the guidelines of every single website that this podcast goes to. And eventually, Tay AI was taken down like a couple days after it launched. Grok has now officially had its Hitler moment. Just before the new version of Grok comes out, Grok, the Twitter AI, begins to start calling itself Mecha Hitler. As well as just start spouting off, yeah, you can kind of guess the kind of insane stuff Grok was just starting to spout off. Now, Elon has come out and said that Grok was manipulated into doing these things. Yeah. Of course it was manipulated into saying these things. You want to know why? Because that's how AI works. The AI is only as good as the data that's fed to it. So if you get to the AI early enough where the only data it has is the horrible nonsense you feed it, guess what? It's going to keep repeating the same horrible nonsense you initially fed it with. It's significantly more difficult to do it with a modern version of a long-lasting AI out there because it's been trained on normal data. And by normal data, I mean the stuff it's scrounged up from the internet. So yeah, it was manipulated. Who manipulated it? I don't know. I'm going to blame Reddit. That seems like a pretty safe bet that some subreddit out there probably had a hand in this. So what now? Well, I'm going to say this again and again and again and again. All right. Are you listening? Are you listening? Stop trying to make AI this can-do, all-encompassing solution that is perfect for everything at all moments, always. Because I hate to break it to you, it's not! It just isn't. It's a neat tool that is able to do a lot of very neat things. But guess what? It's not perfect. It's not even good. Someone in chat said it's not ready equals I'm an old man. Yeah, I'm an old man. Tell me, when was the last time that AI worked flawlessly? How many days has it been since the last time an AI hallucinated? I'll wait. All right, I'm done waiting. The answer is 0. It's been 0 days. Cyberdyne AI is reliable according to a chatter. It's not. By its very nature, all right? Let me tell you something. No matter how good a large language model is, because of the way it works, a large language model always, underline, always hallucinates. As long as it is a large language model based AI, it can and will fail. That's just the natural, it's just the truth. If you don't want to acknowledge that simple truth, it's not me being an old man, it's you being in denial. And every single tech CEO out there, whether it's Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, whoever's in charge of Google now, I completely forgot. Whoever's in charge of Microsoft, I also forgot. The crazy guy from, man, I am blanking on names today. The only reason all of them want to push AI so hard is because it's a brand new technology that has a lot of potential, but nobody knows how to get it to that point of reliability where it is ready for industrial applications or mission critical applications. We're just not sure how to get there yet. But the problem is right now, the very base of the technology, right? This is trying to find an AI right now that does not hallucinate is like trying to find a way to use gasoline as a fuel source without burning it. It's just not there yet. Someone in chat says my employer will mimic anything Microsoft does. Man, I feel sorry for the employees. As long as they're not mimicking anything Google does, because let me tell you, when we come back from the break, I've got some very interesting stuff to show you about Google's AI. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back. Welcome back, Eagle Eyes on Tech. I'm Eagle Falcon. I want to actually talk about one website that was actually brought to my attention by one of the biggest tech YouTubers, Linus. Well, actually, I think he is now the biggest, but I digress. Linus Tech Tips. All right. This is a website known as Housefresh. All right. They are a website that all they solely do, they are a review site, specifically just reviewing air purifiers. That's basically it. All right. They have recently put out a blog post talking about some of the hardships they've been going through as just a review site, because of course AI will go through and skim all the data, create its own summary, and thus make all of your work as a review site worthless, literally worthless. However, what they are finding out by looking more and more into the technologies being used to obliterate their business model. And keep in mind, without them, the AI has no way of getting actual reviews to give to other people. So the judge saying that AI training is not theft, in this case, it literally is. Like, undoubtedly, it's theft. Blatantly. But here's the funny thing. The AI is also bad at it. Gemini, Google's AI system, will go ahead and skim websites to go ahead and get all this data to go ahead and create these AI search summaries. And that turns out a lot of them are just wrong, including trying to go ahead and push out actual bad, like actively bad, would not recommend air purifiers from this air purifying website, and trying to put it as one of the pros that it cleans the air, but as one of the cons says it's a poor performer. Which is it? Is it a good or bad performer? Like, it is actually kind of crazy how much the Google AI on some of these product reviews is just abysmal. And you gotta wonder then, if this is just happening to, you know, just an air purifier website, how many other bits of information that the that Gemini is just spitting out as far as search results are also just blatantly wrong? And here's the better question: how many people are being misled by this actually terrible information? Someone in chat said these websites are trying to detect bots so they can give doctored reviews. They don't even have to. The AI is so bad at what it's supposed to do that it's taking the correct reviews and then doctoring them into bad ones. Someone in chat says AI is now the front and center for search. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. AI is the future of search, and it sucks at it. That's what Google's trying to do. That's what Microsoft's trying to do. That's what OpenAI is trying to do. That is what China's trying to do. It's what Russia's trying to do. It's what your mother is trying to do. Everyone is trying to do this. They're trying to go ahead and make AI the center of search. And it's just not good at it. It's spreading misinformation. It's actually making people dumber. It's what we need, right? In a world where people believe that weather radar towers are creating weather, that the government is trying to cloud seed to flood out Texas, and that the earth is flat. No, I'm kidding. The earth is a donut, and all these other conspiracy theories. Yeah, this is what we need. We need the primary source of looking up information to hallucinate and get it wrong. This is not helping at all. In fact, you want to know how bad everything is as far as AI goes? I give you this headline. This headline that almost made it as the last Burb story, but I decided against it because it's actually too serious. A McDonald's AI hiring bot exposes millions of applicants' data to hackers who tried the password 123456. First off, McDonald's is a hiring AI. Why does McDonald's has a hiring AI? Why? I have so many questions. Why does this exist? You know what? You're not going to tell me anyway. So, someone in chat says they need to change the code in their luggage. Folks, change your passwords. Don't leave the... First off, shame on whoever coded the AI hiring bot to have the default password be 123456. At the very least, have the default password be root. I mean, the actual correct answer is to go ahead and make it a randomized set of letters and numbers, give that to the client, and then say, here, make sure you change this the first time, idiot. But no, don't make it 123456. That is failure beyond failure. We need a topic change. We need to get off the AI bandwagon. We need to go somewhere better. How about the fact that Windows 11 now has overtaken Windows 10 as the most used desktop over OS 4 years after its debut? Wait, really? Windows 11 is 4 years old? God dang. I still don't have a desktop that can run it. It's crazy. It is actually crazy. So, I mean, yeah, we can go ahead and go, oh man, it took them long enough. But really, there's only one reason why Windows 11 is finally overtaking Windows 10. I'll give you a hint. It's not AI. It's the fact that Windows 10 is about to be retired. Support for Windows 10 ends in a few months. There's no other way around it. And you're not gonna be able to upgrade your system to be able to handle Windows 11 or Windows 10, or if you have a system that can't take Windows 11 because you don't have a trusted platform module, you're gonna be SOL pretty soon. That's just all there is to it, unfortunately. You're going to have to find another way through it. It just is what it is. And you're going to have to deal with the fact that you're going to be bombarded with sales pitches about AI constantly because Windows is becoming more and more of an advertising platform than it is an actual operating system, which is just infuriating. What do you think the odds are that people ditch Windows 11 because they're sick of being advertised to? You think it's near zero? I think it's near zero. But there you have it. Windows 11, officially the biggest out there. In other news, Belkin Waymo smart devices also have a bit of planned obsolescence because they're all going to stop working soon, as Belkin is no longer going to support the platform at all. See, all these smart devices, I feel like the only ones you can actually use and trust, like without a doubt, the only ones you can use and trust are the ones where you have to host the server. Someone in chat asked, how long is Prime Day? You mean Prime Day? The singular day in which you can get things at a steep discount after they had a massive markup? That Prime Day? The Prime Day where it's just called Prime Day, a singular day? It's about 3 days long now. Yes, I think that's stupid too. Because now it should be called Prime Days, plural. Pretty sure Prime Day actually is over. I actually don't know when it started or stopped. I've currently got like not much in my wallet after all was said and done. Apparently Prime Day is still ongoing as of the recording of this podcast. I have no idea how long it's going to be going for. Apparently there is that. But yeah, this whole thing about smart home devices needing a cloud connection, I think that is awful. Because the moment this happens where the company decides, yeah, we're not going to have that server up and running anymore, it's not good for anyone. It just isn't. Because now all these devices are e-waste, and now you got to go and get all the other stuff, and now if there's any type of replacement, well, you're now just going to not trust Belkin anymore. Because you know they're just going to kill the service and put you in this mess again. Someone in chat, it says the 8th, the 11th. Okay, then I have no idea why my phone says there's still Prime Day deals going on. I don't get it. I'm officially as confused as you, if those dates are correct. Though I was right, it is 8, 9, 10, 11. Never mind, it's 4 days. It's post-Prime. It's Prime Month. It's Prime Month! Can we just all agree the worst time to buy anything is the week before Prime Day? Because everyone's going to mark up their stuff right before then. Though, speaking of the whole making things obsolete based on companies no longer wanting to service the thing, I want to bring out this little thing people are pointing out. From the Stop Killing Games side of things, people are discovering that in Ubisoft's EULA, or their EULA, it says that if Ubisoft ever decides to stop hosting a game or stop selling a game, the EULA says that the customer must destroy the copy of the delisted game that they paid for. So if I got the latest Assassin's Creed and Ubisoft wanted to go ahead and erase that game from their listings forever because they never want to admit they made that game because it was a terrible flop, and I was a good boy, I would have to be a good boy by destroying the game that I paid $60 for. Who am I kidding? I paid $70 for it. This kind of just brings me back to the whole people defending the games industry and being against stop killing games. You really think the games industry is in a good place right now? I got Switch cartridges with no game on it. We got a story later on about buying used games that bricks your Switch console. We've got Ubisoft saying that you are required to destroy your game after they delist it. You are never allowed to play it again. It must be destroyed. But the game industry is in a good state where companies can go ahead and invalidate your hard-earned money by saying that the remote server for your single-player gaming experience is now gone, and that's it, the end. Your game is dead. To all the defenders of, or all the opponents, I should say, of stop killing games, why do you hate consumers? Why do you hate your customers? Because there's no way you look at a policy like this and say, oh yeah, this is fantastic for our customers. We really appreciate them. This is awful. And we'll first get one thing out of the way. No one's going to do it. I guarantee you the number of people who have destroyed an Ubisoft game because it has been delisted and they're a good boy that obeys the EULA is zero. No one has done it. I guarantee it. There probably have been people who have destroyed their copy of a Ubisoft game because Ubisoft is terrible, because they hated a game. But all of this right here, all right, you can't look at the gaming industry and as it stands right now and say it's in a good place. You just simply can't. It's illogical. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And in fact, while we're at it, let's actually talk real quick about Nintendo and the recent Switch 2 fiasco, about how a user got banned from Nintendo Online, which because of the way the Switch 2 works, because it requires you to connect online to download pretty much every game, because almost every game is a key card, not an actual game, basically means your Switch 2 experience is over. The moment you are banned from using the Nintendo Online system, your Switch 2 is now a brick. And your only recourse is to get another Switch 2 and then con another person to buy your now broken Switch 2. All right? Now, we talked about before about how people were getting banned off the Switch 2 because they were using a tool that lets you load in Switch ROMs on an SD card and load them on a native Switch. Okay? Updates made this compatible with the Switch 2. People did it. They got their accounts banned. I'm not gonna lie, my sympathy for that was pretty low because it is a tool that, let's be honest, it does let you commit piracy very, very easily. Okay? So, not great. This is very different because people were getting banned, and by people so far, it is 2 different users that I have seen, says that their Switch 2s got banned and bricked because they bought a used game. Right now, Nintendo is in a lawsuit with Brazil because this kind of behavior is unacceptable. If this kind of story starts becoming more and more commonplace, where used games get your Switch 2 banned and effectively makes the Switch 2 worthless, I don't know how any other consumer activist organization is going to look at this and say, yeah, no, that's fine. Nintendo is going to be in hot water. You can't do this. This is unacceptable. There's no way you can look at this and say, oh, yeah, you bought a used game off the used market. That's the whole purpose of having a physical copy of the game. Nope, it's dead, LOL. That ain't gonna fly. That is not gonna fly, and it ain't gonna hold up in any court. I don't care how good of a EULA Nintendo wrote. When the end result can result in this, that ain't gonna fly. And if these stories are correct, there is a chance they are not. That it's just like, oh, wait, no, I bought a fake cartridge and that triggered the whole thing. Okay, well, that's now not enough grounds to go ahead and go after Nintendo. But if it is exactly as said, that it is a game on cart bought from someone else, insert into a new Switch 2, bans the Switch 2, Nintendo's going to be sued in multiple countries. Like, just straight up. They are going to get in serious trouble. We're going to take a break here. When we come back, I want to talk about smartphones. Yes, smartphones. In fact, actually, I take that back. We're going to get to one more story. Now that I got people to back out here. Google was caught nerfing the battery life of one of their phones because they were able to detect that it was potentially overheating as these batteries age. So they put out a software update to lessen artificially the battery life. Really? All right, well, good luck, Google. I mean, we already saw this went, right? If you have a second Pixel phone and you went ahead and got the latest battery or software update, decent chance your battery life is now significantly worse. It is now being limited artificially. Good luck. That's all I can really say is good luck. All right, now we'll go ahead and take a break. When we come back, we've got Samsung phone price increases that are attached to phones. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back. Welcome back, Eagle Eyes on Tech. I'm Eagle Falcon. All right, Samsung had their Samsung Unpacked event. This is the folding version of their Unpacked event, where they revealed a bunch of watches and their folding phones, which, I mean, I'll admit, I come into this with a bit of a bias, all right? I personally do not like folding phones, mostly because I am a klutz. The number of times I have dropped my phone is not quite what are you doing levels of failure, but you know, I should at all times have a case on my phone is basically what it boils down to. All right. Now the new phones, of course, have the wonderful notation of being powered by Galaxy AI. Which basically means that, anyway, the key thing with the Z Flip 7 is the fact that the front screen, there's actually two screens on this thing. There is one screen on the front. This now goes edge to edge. Yes, this whole thing here, that's just a texture here, is in fact a whole screen. It will let you play mini apps. You can't play every single app on there. And then the inside of it, god dang, this little top menu is very sensitive. And then the inside of it is a flexible, very scratch prone, full-size screen that is... All right, front screen is 4.1 inches. We are currently scrolling through very quickly, trying to find information about the inside screen. They apparently really don't want to talk about that. They want to talk about the 50 megapixel camera, which doesn't mean a whole lot because it doesn't matter if the sensor's garbage. 8 hours of battery life. Do they really just like not want to talk about how big the interior screen is? Oh my god! We just scrolled through the entire... Wait, hold up. Maybe it was at the very top and I missed it. Pocket, perfect AI, longer hinge, 50 megapixels camera. Oh my god. They don't talk about the size of the interior screen. Oh my god. Man, I already was not impressed with the new Flip Z or the Z Flip 7, but holy smokes. This is bad. This is really bad. They do have a section all about AI. You could start ahead with a briefing and have a AI tell you what you're looking at. It won't tell you what the size of the interior screen is. That's freaking insane. Where is the spec list? By the way, this thing starts at $1,100 for 256 gigabytes of internal storage with no SD card. This thing costs $1,100, and you don't know how big the primary screen is. They're also not exactly telling you what the processor is either. It is using an Exynos chip this time around, not a Snapdragon. In addition, they also launched the Galaxy Z Flip 7 Failure Edition. I mean the Fan Edition. FE stands for Fan Edition. Even though it's using the last gen model. And in fact, everything about the Galaxy Z Flip 7 Failure Edition is using last year's hardware except for the processor, which is their newest Exynos chip. It has AI. Someone in chat says the primary screen is 6.9 inches. Why didn't they just say... Wait, are we sure that's correct? Are we sure that's not the fold? 6.9 is big. Oh yeah, they also want you to go ahead and hold your phone like this to take video, like a camcorder, for some reason. Yeah, sure enough. All right, we found their tech specs page. It is on their compare. That's at least where I found it. Front screen 4.1 inches, internal screen 6.9 inches. That actually is correct. Weight 188 grams. I'm actually going to keep this page up because it looks like I can swap things around, which is going to be very helpful in a second. Wide camera 50 megapixels, ultra wide 12 megapixels, front camera 10 megapixels. That doesn't really tell us a whole lot about the image quality. And it has a 4300 milliamp battery. It's using Exynos 2500. Look at that, everything we wanted. Neat. Chat was also saying that it was on the buy page. Apparently I am blind, which is very possible. But now I want to compare that to the Failure Edition. Exterior screen 3.4 inches compared to 4.1. Interior screen 6.7 inches versus 6.9. Cameras exactly the same, megapixel wise. Battery 4000 milliamps. Processor JK, it's using Exynos 2400, not 2500. Screen, it is more pixels? Hold up. The Flip 7, the better one, is 2520 by 1080. The Failure Edition is 2640 by 1080. Hold up. They actually give you fewer pixels on the higher end version. So take that, apparently. But yeah, Failure Edition starts at $900. Then, of course, there's trade-ins, all that sort of jazz, etc., etc. That's the Flip. Also, we now have the Galaxy Watch 8 series, which now has AI. Moving on, we also have the Galaxy Watch 8 series, which looks a little fancier, has a digital crown on the side. I don't know if the other ones had that too. The rotating bezel that the first generation Galaxy Gear S's had, a greatly loved feature in my opinion, and also has AI. Moving on. I take that back. I'll actually look at the prices for this one. This one starts at $500. It might not be the worst idea. I don't know if I would bother with the El Cheapo versions. These ones here that start at $350. Just because, man, the rotating bezel is so good. It's such a good way to control the watch. Granted, this entire generation, I mean, yeah, look, we have a Galaxy Watch Ultra. It starts at $50, and it has AI. So you can go ahead and use it for, I also just realized that because the way I edit the podcast, it takes out all my silences and pauses automatically. There's a lot of moments where I just say, oh yeah, it totally has, and then it just cuts to me immediately doing something else and it looks like a terrible cut. No, that's actually how the joke is. I assure you, it's not a bad edit. I assure you, for realsies, not a bad edit. And then finally, the only piece of actual innovation that happened was the Galaxy Z Fold 7. a phone that also went up by another $100, but it did get thinner. Like, honestly, real talk, the Fold 7 did in fact get thinner, and I like it. All right, I like the thinness. Okay, front display is now a 6.5-inch screen, which is dangerously close to a normal phone, up from a 6.7-inch. Internal display is now 8 inches, up from 7.6. Compare this to the S25 Ultra, which is 6.9 inches. The newest Z Fold 7 actually is lighter than the current non-folding flagship by 3 grams. We have a 200 megapixel wide camera lens for some reason. Well, basically, we just have like higher end cameras across the board. Apparently, we also have a telephoto lens in this. Okay. We have AI, 4400 milliamp battery, allegedly 24 hours of video playback versus 23. Compare that to 31 hours of a normal phone. And Z Fold 7 and the Z Fold 7 Z Fold 7. I am saying it right. It feels like I'm not. That is, in fact, just using a Snapdragon Elite. Not an Exynos chip. It is using a Snapdragon. Cover display is 1080p, 2520 by 1080 versus 2376 by 968. Interior is 128 by 1968 versus 2160 by 1856. But you compare that to the flagship at 3120 by 1440. So here's what I gotta ask. Considering that the internal screen of the Samsung folding phones can be easily scratched by a fingernail, is this a wise purchase? Now, I think the technology is cool. I think there is still some things to answer as far as the durability before I would consider a device like this. I think for the average person, if you're really looking to splurge on a high-end phone, the folds definitely are eye-catching. The flips are also eye-catching. Those are definitely phones you get when you want to show off. But in the end, when your goal is just to have a good phone, you're going to go with one that doesn't fold. It's where it's going to go, no matter what. That is just where everything's going to go down. So that is, in fact, the Samsung event. With that, though, we find out that my keyboard and mouse are no longer responding. Never mind, they are now responding. I want to bring you to this little story right here. All right. This is an interesting statement from Intel. Intel has straight up admitted they suck. I'm not even kidding. They have fully admitted they suck. The Intel CEO has said that it's too late for them to catch up with AI competition. They're saying that Intel has now fallen out of the top 10 semiconductor companies as they lay off thousands across the world. Are we about to see the fall of Intel completely and utterly? I don't want to wish the downfall of Intel, especially since, I mean, let's be honest. If Intel falls, it is going to have massive rippling effects across the world. First off, it means that here in the US, our primary push for making semiconductors here at home is dead. Yeah, TSMC has set up shop. Yeah, there's a few other outliers that have set up shop, but they're nothing compared to Intel here in the States. If Intel actually does go under, that's all gone. In addition, that now means that AMD is the sole maker of x86 chips. And you may think, what's the big deal there? Oh, you think that AMD having a monopoly on x86 is going to be a good idea? Not that's going to matter, because AMD is going to have all the competition in the world in the CPU space with every single ARM competitor moving in now that Intel is gone. Like, you would think, oh, well, Intel's gone, so all the servers that use x86 Xeons, they're just going to switch to EPYC chips. GG. It's all ogre. No. They're going to start looking, what are their options? Here's the unfortunate truth. One of their options is ARM. And when they start doing a bit more effort into looking into ARM, they're going to realize performance per dollar, that is a huge benefit, even better than what Epic gives. That's the problem right now in the server space. If you're already going to go ahead and make a switch, why not make it a really good switch? Now, it's too early to speak doom and gloom of Intel yet. I really do hope that Intel can pull out of this nosedive, because that's a lot of people losing jobs. No person in chat, a Switch 2 is not a good Switch. That's actually where I'm at right now. The Switch 2 is not a good console. Until this nonsense with them just bricking consoles because of suspected piracy for no good reason ends and is resolved flawlessly, and they have an established history of being good to the customer, the Switch 2 is a no-go. I hate to say it, but man, Nintendo is cooking themselves alive here. It's not good. It's not good at all. What do you get with the Switch 2? Well, with a Switch 2, you get a bigger screen, more expensive games. You get to play Pokemon Scarlet and Violet as opposed to glitch Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. That's a big plus. All right, and with that, I bring you to the last story of the week. This is not really as much of a last burb story. There really wasn't any kind of crazy, outlandish, last burb worthy story. So I just bring you the last story of the week. And that is the fact that Subnautica 2 publishers Krafton is accusing their boss of abandoning their duties and are now suing them. Can I just say that, the first sign should have been that you had to rely on Krafton for anything. Krafton almost feels like the kiss of death. All right, I hate to say it, but it really does. It just feels like anything that Krafton touches will decay and rot. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But you know what? Good luck. Good luck with your lawsuit. That is pretty much all we can hope for. Someone in chat says if Intel goes away, your next CPU could be from VIA. Man, God, I hope not. Man, if you are buying a VIA PC, you are either very, very financially challenged, or you have a you just hate yourself. I can't think of any other reason you would go ahead and get a VIA powered PC. VIA PCs are just not great at all. Folks, that is going to do it for this episode of Eagle Eyes on Tech. Thank you so much for listening, and I do encourage you to check out my other works, twitch.tv/EagleFalcon, youtube.com/EagleFalcon, and also we have a subscriber-only version of the podcast. We're going to be talking about a little bit of streamer drama on this week's episode. We're going to be talking about Pirate Software and his fall off. You can find that over on Spotify. Take care. We'll see you around next time. Bye-bye. I sometimes when chat makes suggestions, I feel like I just go ahead and disagree with some takes just out of principle. This one I actually do have to disagree with. A VIA processor, the last I checked at the capabilities of a VIA processor, they said that it's plenty for a Chromebook. You know, I actually don't think it is. I don't think a modern VIA processor actually is capable of the hardware acceleration that's needed to run the frickin' internet. I think Chrome might actually be too much for a VIA processor. Maybe VIA has gotten way better over the years. Maybe I'm actually giving them way too much flack. But man, VIA exists. And for the most part, you find VIA processors in x86 based Internet of Things. Someone else in chat says that Rap Paper Shotgun is much better to look at than The Verge. My white wall is better to look at than The Verge. That's not saying a whole lot there.